Hello and thanks for watching. So in this video we're going to be looking at the Extreme G series. So Extreme G is a futuristic racing game, very similar to the Wipeout games and the F-Zero games. Except instead of racing with futuristic ships that hover above the track, you're racing with futuristic bikes, as you can see from the box art of the original game here. And so in this video I'm just going to look at the collection and talk about the games in general, and then I'll probably make a video of each game looking at it with a bit more detail. So Extreme G1 for the Nintendo 64 came out in 1997 here in the UK, and it was the first of quite a few futuristic racing games on the Nintendo 64. So if you're into that kind of thing, the N64 really does have quite a few games to offer. There was a game called Aero Gauge. There was F-Zero X, which is a sequel to F-Zero. Wipeout 64. And Star Wars Racer, which was the pod racing from Star Wars Episode 1. But Extreme G1, so like I say, futuristic race with motorbikes. Probably more similar to the Wipeout series than the F-Zero series. A bit more directed towards a more grown-up audience. And it featured weapons, which F-Zero doesn't have. So you pick up the weapons on the tracks, fire them off. So yeah, very similar to the Wipeout series in that regard. And the original really did impress with its graphics. And one of the key things is it offered multiplayer up to 4 players. So yeah, that's quite a cool feature of the original game. Made it stand out from the crowd. And then Extreme G2, which came out in 1998 in the UK. And it's a pretty good sequel. For me personally, it doesn't hold up to the first one. I'm not sure what exactly that is. There's just something about the first one that I prefer a little bit. But it is a solid sequel, and again it offers the multiplayer up to 4 players, which is great. Some new course design which works really well. It still looks really good for the N64. And in 1998 this obviously went up against F-Zero X, and I think F-Zero X probably won out on that one. Just the sheer speed and the number of players you could race against in that game. And it's probably better known, but Extreme G2 is a solid game. And this also recently was re-released on Steam of May this year, so May 2017. This came out on Steam, so you can get Extreme G2 on your PC and play it on there as well. So that's pretty cool. It's nice to see the series is still living on. Basically all the games in the series were published by Acclaim Entertainment and developed by, the first 2 were developed by Probe, and then that became Acclaim Studios, and that they developed the next 2, and all 4 were published by Acclaim. And Acclaim went bankrupt at one point, but a studio, I think it's called Throwback Entertainment, acquired all the rights, and they've re-released Extreme G2 on Steam, so that's pretty cool. So the series, even though they don't seem to be developing any new games at the moment, it's cool that they're re-releasing this stuff. And quickly I'll just mention at the back here, we've got a couple of magazines with the Extreme G covers and that, and an N64 book which looks at lots of N64 games. That's made by the people that make the Retro Gamer magazine here in the UK. And I just got these off eBay, but they're quite cool to look at, read about the games and other games from this era back then as well. And speaking of magazines, this is a demo disc which came free with the PS2 magazine, and this had Extreme G3 on it. And this is how I first found Extreme G3. And Extreme G3 itself came out in 2001 on the PS2 in the UK, and this demo is from 2001 as well. And that was my first exposure to the game, and graphically it blew me away, and I was like, I need to get this game. So I did, and here it is, Extreme G3, or XG3, and this came out on the PS2, and then a year later it was also released on the GameCube. Now the cool thing about the GameCube version is this features up to 4 players, because the GameCube supported 4 controllers. So that's really cool. And yeah, Extreme G3 was really good, really visually impressive, and it beat Wipeout Fusion to the market on the PS2. So if you're looking for futuristic racers, this one was out just before Wipeout Fusion. So yeah, it probably gained a bit more popularity by beating it to the market. And next up we have XGRA, or Extreme G Racing Association. And this here is a PS2 promo disc. So these promo discs got sent out to publishers and magazines and things doing reviews of the games. It's exactly the same as the proper release, except just a different disc and a different layout there. And yeah, they just use that for reviews or demo purposes. But it's quite cool to have that. And yeah, so XGRA, it came out on the PS2 in 2003, and also on the GameCube in 2003. Also on the Xbox in 2003, the original Xbox. And then in 2004, it was released on the GameCube. And the GameCube version and the Xbox version support up to 4 players, because the console could support 4 controllers, and the PS2 version only has up to 2 players. But they all run very similar. And so, Extreme G Racing Association, it's again, it's a same sort of style as the previous games, racing, collecting weapons, stuff like that. And the soundtracks, I haven't mentioned this already, sorry. The soundtracks in the previous 3 games are very dance, techno, housey sort of music, and then in this game they introduced the option to pick between rock and dance, or a mix of both. So that's pretty cool, depending what your style is. These kind of games work really well with dance music, very similar to the Wipeout games. But yeah, rock music, if you're into that kind of thing, is also an option in this one, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, that was the last release, Extreme G Racing Association. In 2004, last one on the GameCube came out. And yeah, it's been a while. It's a shame to see the series hasn't had another release, but they're solid games. And like I say, I'm going to go into a lot more detail when we look at the individual games in the next few videos. But that's a brief introduction to the series. And yeah, thank you for watching.